There are hundreds of restaurants in Disney World, but not all of them are going to be worth booking a reservation for if you're using the Disney dining plan. So which restaurants should you be prioritizing above all the others to really get your money's worth? Find out today here on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and I'm here to make sure you're never, ever going to get ripped off by the Disney dining plan once it returns on January 9th, 2024. Today, we're going to tell you which restaurants are going to be the most worth spending your Disney dining plan credits on if you decide to purchase that DDP. But before we jump into all that, let's give you the SparkNotes version of the DDP basics. Basically, with a Disney dining plan, you pay a set amount to get a certain number of credits that you can use throughout your stay. You're going to redeem those credits for snacks and quick service meals or table service meals, depending on the credit type and the plan type. Essentially, this allows you to prepay for all your Disney grub and make your vacation have more of an all-inclusive feel. Once it's time to pay for your actual meal in Disney World, you'll simply use your credit to cover the cost of your food instead of paying out of pocket every single time. If you want to prepay for all your meals ahead of your trip, you're going to have to make one other important decision. Are you going to choose the quick service plan or the standard plan? The quick service one is going to be your cheaper option, $57 per adult per day and $23.83 per child, ages 3 to 9 per day. But we want to focus on how to get the most out of the standard plan in today's video, since it's going to cost you a bit more to use. While a quick service plan is going to get you 2 quick service meals per day, as well as a snack or non-alcoholic drink per night of your package stay and 1 resort refillable mug too, the standard plan is going to get you 1 table service meal and 1 quick service meal per day, and a snack or non-alcoholic beverage each day of your stay, along with that resort refillable mug as well. But because of those table service additions to the standard plan, this one's going to cost you $94.28 per adult per day and $29.69 per child, ages 3 to 9 per day. Quite the price spike right there for the grown-ups. So, in order to really get the best bang for your buck, you're going to have to do a little extra research on your end, since not all Disney World restaurants and their offerings are going to be able to stretch your dollar to make the standard Disney dining plan worth investing in ahead of your trip. Fortunately, though, we've started that research for you. If you want a more specific look into the breakdown of the DDP and how you can budget out each of your meals to not only break even, but to save yourself money dining around the parks, then check out our brand new DFB Guide to Maximizing the Disney Dining Plan guide over on the dfbstore.com website. You can also type in code YouTube before you check out to save you some money on your purchase. But for now, you can sit back, relax, and let me guide you through a smorgasbord of table service options that could stretch your Disney Dining Plan credits in ways you didn't know were possible. And if you want a free handy cheat sheet of the restaurants included in the Disney Dining Plan that you can refer back to as you make your dining reservations, you can get that at disneyfoodblog.com/DDP restaurants or head to the QR code on your screen. Okay, are we ready to figure out what are the best bang for your buck restaurants for DDP? Let's go. We're going to start with character meals. It is time to stretch the dollars. When you're using a table service dining credit, you're going to be able to get 1 entree, 1 dessert, and 1 non-alcoholic beverage or alcoholic beverage for guests 21 and older for brunch, lunch, or dinner. Or you can get a full buffet or family-style meal plus 1 non-alcoholic or alcoholic beverage. Now, that second option is one we're really going to run with today because you can get so much food out of just 1 dining reservation at those all-you-can-eat locations. But what makes these locations even more worth it is you can meet some famous friends along the way. Yep, character meals are going to be one of the best, biggest bang buck get for your dollar credit meal options that you can possibly do in Disney World if you're using the Disney dining plan. These types of meals are exclusive, they're fun, they're filling because there's a lot of food, and they're efficient. Do they stuff you full with tons and tons of food? Yes, but they also give you the chance to meet some of your favorite characters without you having to stand in line out in the heat to meet them. Instead, they're going to come directly to you while you're eating, so you get 2 for the price of 1, basically. And because character dining is such a good time, the set menu prices don't just reflect the food, they reflect the entertainment too. Meaning any character meal set for lunch or dinner is going to push that $50 plus per adult price tag right off the bat. But get this, a good chunk of the character dining experiences will only cost you 1 Disney dining plan credit to experience, meaning you can get a lot for that credit by eating a bunch of food and gathering up all those character signatures and hugs in one setting. Take Garden Grill, for example, over at Epcot. You know me, of course I'm going to talk about Garden Grill. At this location, you're going to get to meet Farmer Mickey, Chip and Dale, and Pluto in a setting that's not too terribly loud or too terribly crowded, meaning you'll more than likely get to see these characters not just once during your meal, but potentially a few times over. It's a small restaurant, and those characters have the time to visit you a couple times. The food here is also served family style, so you're going to get some nice large portions delivered straight to your table for your whole group to share and enjoy. You don't have to get up and go to a buffet and manage the kids while you're getting them food and getting you food and having to line plates up on your sleeve, right? While breakfast here is very tasty and filling, you're going to want to go with a lunch dinner route to get your full credits worth, since those are the more expensive dining options that'll normally cost you $55 per adult and $36 per kiddo. See, this is the interesting thing about when the dining plan comes back, is my recommendations suddenly have to kind of change, because usually I'm talking about minimizing your budget, maximizing your value, right? Which is when we say, oh, always go to breakfast, because breakfast is going to give you the same experience as lunch and dinner with the characters and being able to experience the restaurant, but it's going to be less expensive. But when it comes to buying the Disney dining plan, you want to get as much out of your credit as you can, so you book those more expensive meals. So the recommendations kind of change here if you're booking the DDP. Now, for Garden Grill, lunch and dinner, you're going to be served a garden salad, barbecue roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, seasonal veggies, Southern-style spoon bread, grilled beef with chimichurri, and berry shortcake. All good stuff, really delicious, good for any palate, really. Everyone's going to find something that they like here. So this is a good choice. Next is Tusker House. That's inside Disney's Animal Kingdom. It's another solid character meal option, since you're going to be able to meet Goofy, Daisy, Donald, and Mickey all dressed up in their safari gear, ready for an adventure. But instead of being served family style, Tusker House is a buffet, and not just any kind of buffet. It's a really unique one with options like naan and hummus, green curry shrimp, braised beef, jollof rice, and other African specialties, alongside some more familiar options for the kids like mac and cheese and chicken tenders. Again, lunch and dinner are the way to go when using the DDP, since these are going to cost you $59 per adult and $28 per kid. So what other character buffets should you consider using the Disney dining plan for? How about the Crystal Palace in Magic Kingdom, or Chef Mickey's at Disney's Contemporary Resort? Crystal Palace is the only table service restaurant in the Disney bubble where you're going to be able to dine with the 100-acre Wood Gang, meaning you get the chance to meet Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Piglet, and Eeyore. Lunch and dinner at Crystal Palace is $58 per adult and $38 per kid, and has a buffet spread full of options that will satisfy lots of different palates, including things like country fried chicken with black pepper gravy, seasonal ravioli, mashed potatoes, carved prime rib, and shrimp creole. Meanwhile, Chef Mickey's is the only table service where you're going to be able to meet all the Fab Five characters in one go. Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Donald, and Pluto can be found at other character dining experiences in and around the parks, but the gang is all together at Chef Mickey's instead of one or two being missing from the lineup, which is why reservations for this can be really hard to get. The food at Chef Mickey's isn't going to be the best you've ever had, but you're going to have a lot to choose from, including options like roasted pork and house-made mac and cheese, warm apple crisp, shrimp and grits, and vegetable stir-fry noodles. Chef Mickey's tends to be a bit pricier than the others that I've just mentioned, costing $62 per adult and $39 per kid for lunch and dinner, so that helps stretch your DDP table service credit even further than the others. Okay, next set of restaurants we want to recommend if you're using the standard Disney dining plan is restaurants with the expensive stuff. Feels a bit redundant, right? Like, which Disney World restaurant isn't going to have expensive stuff in it? But while Disney food is generally pricey across the board, there are menu options that are going to be more expensive than the rest. So you'll want to choose wisely by going big and ordering the highest dollar options on the menus that you wouldn't normally order if you were paying for these restaurants out of pocket. Let's start off with a strong example at one of our favorite places to chow down, Steakhouse 71 over at Disney's Contemporary Resort. Now, if you go to Steakhouse 71 for breakfast, you're looking at adult entrees that typically range between $13 and $21, which is unbelievably reasonable for a Disney breakfast. For lunch, entrees are a bit more expensive, ranging between $16 and $26 for adults. Still, not the worst we've seen. We definitely see some quick service prices in those ranges. But what you're going to want to book instead, if you're using the Disney dining plan, is dinner here, since that's where you're going to find the steakhouse cuts. And it's not common to find steakhouse cuts at a restaurant that's only one Disney dining plan credit, so that's a huge deal, y'all. The most expensive steakhouse cut you can order here is the 8-ounce beef tenderloin medallions for $39. And don't forget, your table service credit will also cover your dessert and one alcoholic beverage of choice. So along with those medallions, you can also get the 15-layer Steakhouse 71 chocolate cake, which is usually $11. Now, side note, for past Disney dining plans, we've been able to substitute a dessert for select appetizers. And we're not sure if this is going to be the case again when the plan returns. Sometimes this is at the discretion of your server, but we'll let you know just as soon as we learn more. Okay, back to our meal. Finally, throw in one of Steakhouse 71's $16 to $17 cocktails, like maybe the Coco Boulevardier if available, while enjoying your steak and cake. And normally this entire meal would cost you $67 plus tip, which we'll talk more about in just a minute. But all this initial cost is already going to be covered thanks to your standard dining plan, but not the tip. Again, we're going to talk about that later. Now, inside Disney Springs, you can eat at Chef Art Smith's Homecoming and really maximize your credit for lunch or dinner by going all out with the premium Southern Eats. Not only can you get those blueberry barbecue glazed pork chops for $37, but you can also get the signature sampler of desserts, which includes a little bit of hummingbird cake, a little bit of chocolate pecan pie, and a little bit of carrot cake, plus a scoop of vanilla bean ice cream. That's 4 different desserts that usually cost you $24 out of pocket. So if you add one of those $15 shines on tap, aka Homecoming Specialty Moonshine cocktails, you've got yourself a $76 meal, all covered by the Disney dining plan. Now, there are 2 restaurants we don't talk about too terribly much on this channel that really deserve a shout out today, and that's Tep and Edo inside Epcot, and wildcard alert, Boatwright's Dining Hall over at Disney's Port Orleans Riverside Resort. So Tep and Edo is that hibachi-style restaurants, basically Benihana, inside Epcot's Japan Pavilion. And if you've got a hibachi restaurant back home, you already know how pricey these places can get. The entrees at Tep and Edo range between $34 and $65, with the $65 option being the hotate, aka cold water ocean scallops served with garden salad, udon noodles, and vegetables, and steamed white rice. Even with this $65 purchase, you can still include one of their $10 desserts like the mango mousse cake or the yuzu cheesecake, and a pina colada for $15, or a non-alcoholic strawberry flavored version for $10. And that $85 to $90 bill will still all be covered by your standard plan for just one dining credit. Oh, and get this, there's also a $26 julienne steak entree on the kids menu here, which just about covers the entire standard plan cost for kids in the entire day in and of itself. Now, at Boatwright's Dining Hall, you'll be able to enjoy some southern Louisiana favorites in a dining room themed to look like a restored boat construction warehouse. While the blackened prime rib is the most expensive option out of the entrees at $38, I'd still recommend trying that taste of the Bayou platter instead for $36, since it'll get you a variety of options like the hickory smoked pork ribs, crispy Cajun chicken, smoked sausage, barbecued beef brisket, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, roasted corn with Cajun butter, and seasonal vegetables. Now for dessert, the world is your oyster, since there are multiple $10 options you can pull from this menu, including the Mississippi Mud Creme Brulee, the Southern Cheesecake, and the Peach Blackberry Cobbler. Add a regular cocktail for $14.50 to $15.50, or maybe even a non-alcoholic agave garden for $11, and that out-of-pocket cost can become as pricey as $63.50 before tax and tip. But let's talk about server gratuity for just a second, because this is extremely important to remember for your trip's budget. Gratuity at table service locations is not covered by the Disney dining plan. I repeat, it is not covered. So you're still going to need a budget for your future servers' tips, regardless of whether you purchase the Disney dining plan or not. And since you're buying a lot of very expensive food, those tips are going to be a little bit higher than you might have budgeted for previously. So our next group of restaurants you're going to want to consider for the Disney dining plan are places where you'll get way more food for just one credit. Let's go back to the all-you-can-eat feasts again, because there are even more options you can choose from that I can't bear to leave out of this video. First, dinner at Ohana over at the Polynesian Village Resort. That's a restaurant I'm more than willing to pay out of pocket for because I like the food here, but if you've got a DDP burning a hole in your pocket, then this family-style meal with all sorts of Polynesian food is even more worth your money. Dinner is $59 per adult, $38 per child, and it includes mixed green salad, signature Ohana bread, honey coriander chicken wings, pork dumplings tossed in a chili garlic sauce, the gloriously famous Ohana noodles, and the equally as famous Ohana bread pudding. And depending on where you're seated and what time your reservation is for, you may also get to watch the happily ever after fireworks from your window view table. You can request a fireworks view table at the host stand when checking in, but just keep in mind a requested table isn't a guaranteed table, but it never hurts to ask about anyways. Another resort restaurant I'd go up to bat for in a heartbeat is Boma Flavors of Africa over at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. While you're going to have a hearty and flavorful experience here, whether you choose to dine for breakfast or dinner, you're going to want to use those DDP creds on the latter of the two meals, since that dinner buffet normally costs $54 per adult and $32 per kid. A few of Boma's dinner buffet options include pita with hummus and coriander, peanut or coconut rice, lamb booty, and butternut squash soup, as well as several other more unique options you're not normally going to find at Disney World buffets. I could honestly just go to Boma and eat all the soups. They're amazing. And as a bonus, Boma has an open kitchen layout for you to enjoy, meaning you can watch the chefs in action as they prepare your all-you-can-eat grub. Now, inside the parks, table service credits are going to go a long way at some of those Epcot restaurants like Akershus Royal Banquet Hall and Beer Garden. Now, I know I've mentioned that breakfast is usually the option you want to skip out on if you're using the Disney dining plan, but with Akershus Royal Banquet Hall and the Norway Pavilion, I'm going to tell you the opposite again. Yep, lunch and dinner here are still the more expensive options. However, a lunch or dinner meal at Akershus is going to cost you 2 dining credits, while breakfast is still only going to cost you 1. And 1 DDP credit used for breakfast will still cover a family-style, all-you-can-eat meal that normally costs $53 per adult and $34 per kid. So why choose Akershus with its array of breakfast foods over another table service inside Epcot? Because this is the only character dining experience inside the parks that costs you just 1 table service credit, where you can meet a bunch of Disney princesses. Snow White, Jasmine, Belle, Tiana, Princess Aurora, Ariel. Sometimes Cinderella shows up, and you'll only have to use 1 DDP credit instead of having to use 2 like you do over at Cinderella's Royal Table. This is a huge deal, y'all. During breakfast, you'll be able to chow down on several different morning options like pastries and potato casserole and bacon, Norwegian waffles, mixed fruit, scrambled eggs, sausage, you get it, while also saying hello and taking pictures with this royal princess crew. Meanwhile, Beer Garden over in the Germany Pavilion may not be a character dining experience, but that doesn't mean you're not going to be thoroughly entertained here. Beer Garden takes place in a theater-style dining room, all decked out to be an outdoor Oktoberfest extravaganza in some little wonderful German town, and Oktoberfest, of course, is celebrated all year long here. Along with being able to choose from a full buffet of German-inspired eats like schnitzel and sausages and sauerkraut and spätzle and noodle gratin, you'll also be able to party along with the Oktoberfest performers who are going to sing and dance and play tons and tons of polka music. So the lunch and dinner buffet here is usually going to cost you $49 per adult and $27 per kid. But even though it's not the most expensive all-you-can-eat experience you'll find on Disney property, you can order a full liter of German beer too, like the Schafferhofer Grapefruit Hefeweizen or that classic dark Pilsner, the Warsteiner Dunkel, for $17 and still have that covered by the Disney dining plan. So this is a good option for those of you who want to try something more adventurous while also hoisting your beers up in the air and shouting Prost during your meal. So as we continue talking about all these table service options that you can use your DDP credits on, don't forget that you're still going to need to book these restaurants yourself in order to guarantee a seat at them. Despite your meals being covered by the DDP price-wise, that's not going to cover a reservation. So you're still going to want to mark your calendar 60 days before your Disney trip kicks off to make sure you can book the restaurants you want to eat at right when those reservations go live. Okay, the next group of restaurants I want to talk about for you to book with the DDP are the signature spots. Now, in my previous point, I did mention there are some table service locations that are so high-end and popular or fancy that they're going to require 2 table service credits instead of just 1 to eat there. Now, that's a big ask from you because that means you might still have to pay out of pocket for some of your meals later on in your trip if you wind up using 2 of your table service credits in the same day. So if you do this, you're going to want to make sure the 2 credit meal you book is really going to be worth it, because some of them are liable to not give you your money's worth if you're not careful. Just so you have an idea of what each of the 2 credit table service locations are, here is the full list as of now that you can choose from. I say as of now because these can definitely change. Some of the restaurants that aren't owned by Disney don't kind of buy into the dining plan until the last minute. It's something that they do every single year. It's always been a problem. I get lots of emails from people worried about it. Usually these are all going to buy into the DDP though. Just don't worry about it. Just heads up that this may change. Okay, while you might automatically assume each of these restaurants could potentially cost you $60 or $70, maybe even $90 plus per person, that's not always the case. Some of these restaurants could end up costing you just as much out of pocket as you'd pay for those 1 credit meals, maybe even less so. like the Boathouse, for instance. While the Boathouse is a super popular place to grab seafood in the Disney bubble, the menu here is a la carte, meaning you could book a table in the dining room and just order some of the grilled mahi tacos for $24 and call it good without paying out the wazoo to experience this place. Same goes for Le Cellier Steakhouse at Epcot. Literally, Le Cellier is one of my personal favorite places to eat inside World Showcase, and yet, because it features an a la carte menu as well, I don't have to pay for a multi-course meal here if I don't want to. Instead, I could get a dry-aged pork chop and a water and keep my bill at $44. Or for something even cheaper, I could just get myself an order of the signature poutine for $14 and maybe a dessert, or the soup and the poutine, and I'm definitely under the amount that I'm spending for 2 credits on the dining plan. So for a 2-credit table service to be worth paying for with your credits, you may want to choose one of the prix restaurants where you have no choice but to pay for multiple courses. I'd recommend trying to book Cinderella's Royal Table at Magic Kingdom or California Grill at Disney's Contemporary Resort. Cindy's is a popular spot for breakfast, lunch, and dinner since it takes place inside the iconic Cinderella Castle and gives you the chance to meet several Disney princesses, just like Akershus. But if you book a reservation for breakfast, you'd normally be paying $65 per adult, $39 per kid, which isn't too much more than you'll have to pay for a 1-credit character dining meal for lunch or dinner. However, lunch and dinner at Cindy's will put you back $79 per adult and $47 per kid, making the 2-credit option a little more worthwhile. And when I say worthwhile, I'm talking about the overall experience more than the actual food. Sure, you'll get your option of appetizer, entree, and dessert here, but the food here isn't knock your socks off good. It's not bad, but you're definitely not paying that 2-credit price for a memorable 3 courses. Now, if you're looking higher quality dining, you're better off with the prix menu at California Grill. Sure, this meal won't give you the opportunity to meet Disney princesses inside Cinderella Castle, but you will be able to dine on 3 courses of contemporary market-inspired cuisine on the 15th floor of the resort during dinner, which could include options like Sonoma goat cheese ravioli, oak-fired filet of beef, saffron cavatelli, one of the chef's selections of California cheeses, etc. Along with those apps, entrees, and desserts, you'll also have the chance to watch the Happily Ever After fireworks during your meal. But unlike Ohana, where it's only a possibility you'll get a seat with a clear view of the show, your fireworks viewing is guaranteed here thanks to the restaurant's private balcony. So even if you don't have a table next to the window, you can step outside and watch the show from 15 stories up. Dinner at California Grill is going to cost you $89 per adult and $39 per kid. Now, another interesting group of places to use that DDP are the spots with high-end cocktails and mocktails. If you are into mixology, this is the section for you. I've already mentioned a few places you can grab a pricey cocktail or a specialty drink to go along with your meal, but let's take a closer look at what drinks are included with the price of your DDP. Guests 21 and older may choose either one non-alcoholic beverage or one single-serving mixed cocktail, beer, or wine where offered as part of their meal. A single-serving alcoholic beverage includes stuff such as beer or cider, wine and sangria, mixed drinks, or specialty cocktails. Meanwhile, guests 10 years of age and older can choose one non-alcoholic beverage, including specialty beverages where offered, as part of their meal instead. This would include milkshakes or smoothies, premium hot chocolate, and soda, coffee, or tea. More than likely, you're going to have to ask your server about which specialty drinks will be included with your DDP price when you arrive at the restaurant, since some of those high-end wines or flights or fish bowls big enough to serve multiple guests more than likely won't be DDP eligible. But let's talk about some of the restaurants that'll have a good variety of great DDP drink options you may not want to miss out on if cocktails and mocktails are just as big a deal to you as the food itself. First up, Topolino's Terrace over at Disney's Riviera Resort might be a 2-credit meal during dinner, but here's how you're going to get the most bang for your buck in an a la carte restaurant like this. Step 1, order the filet mignon, which will already be an out-of-pocket price of $56. Step 2, get the warm chocolate cake for $15 for dessert. And step 3, either start or end your meal with a cocktail around $17 to $21. Warning, Topolino's Terrace has a few drinks that'll have quite a kick to them, like the champagne cocktail, for instance, and yet they still manage to be nice and refreshing all the same. In total, this is going to bring your meal to around $92, and that's definitely getting your money's worth. And you can do the same thing with a 2-credit option over at Hollywood Brown Derby and Hollywood Studios. While I'm super used to recommending the famous Cobb salad here because that thing is delicious and made fresh right at your table, I'm not going to recommend it right now because it's not the highest priced entree on the menu. What is the highest priced is, once again, the filet mignon for $49. And when in doubt about what to order from whatever restaurant you find yourself in, go the steak or lobster route because 90% of the time those are going to be the most expensive options. Along with your filet, you can get the also famous grapefruit cake for $13. And to complement the cake, you can wash it down with a grapefruit cake martini for $15.50, but only if you really, really, really like grapefruit. Otherwise, you can order a different after-dinner drink along the same price point, like the Nutty Irishman, made with Bailey's Irish Cream and Frangelico, then topped with whipped cream. By the end of your meal, you'll have eaten a lunch or dinner that normally costs around $78. Okay, enough with the 2 credit options. Let's go back to the 1 credit dining again and start with Skipper Canteen in Magic Kingdom. This is one of those table service meals we like to recommend because you don't have to break the bank here if you don't want to. But since we've got the DDP in our proverbial utility belts, that's not going to be an issue, so we're going to go all out, drinks included. Whether you eat here for lunch or dinner, you can order the Baba lamb chops for $38, the kungaloosh, which is an African-inspired chocolate cake with caramelized bananas served with cashew caramel ice cream and topped with coffee dust for $9. And yes, please kungaloosh me in the comments if you remember going to the Adventurers Club and drinking the kungaloosh. And then you can really push the limit here with the additional Golden Haze margarita made with tequila, Grand Marnier, agave, lime juice, and smoked chili bitters for $16.50, which is going to bring your total to $63.50 before tax and tip. Finally, over at Yak and Yeti inside Animal Kingdom, you can dine on a fusion of Asian cuisine and drink by ordering some options that might push you out of your comfort zone. One of the highest end entrees you can get here is the Bhaktapur duck with plum barbecue sauce for $37.99. Though if the thought of eating duck throws you off, you could always opt for the hibachi steak and shrimp for around the same price. For dessert, you can keep things fruity and tropical with the pineapple upside down cake served warm in a la mode for $13.99. And finally, to add even more fruit to your meal because we're healthy here, you can order the Yak Attack made with mango daiquiri, rum, and wild berry flavors for $14. This is one of my favorite drinks in Disney World. I've been promoting this one since before anybody had smartphones. After entree, dessert, and drink are all added up, you're looking at an out-of-pocket price around $66. Anyone notice a recurring theme with all these restaurants and meals we've listed out for you today? The Disney dining plan, in a way, forces you to eat the biggest and most expensive stuff to really get your money's worth. You don't have to, of course, but if you want to feel like you're getting the best bang out of your dining credits, you're going to be extravagant with all your food and drink choices all trip long. And that can turn you into one big stress mess, feeling like you have to skip rides and experiences to eat again and again and again. So if you're getting that vibe from this video, go ahead and check out our other Disney dining plan videos on our YouTube page, like our ultimate guide to it and how the return of the DDP will change Disney World for better or for worse, to help you decide whether the DDP is really going to be worth all that extra planning and thinking and eating or not. And one last important reminder for y'all. While the restaurants I featured today are good springboard examples of what you can do to really get that bang for your buck with the standard DDP, these are just a few of the many ways you can customize your Disney dining schedule for your upcoming trip. If you want to check out even more ways to maximize this plan and make sure no money is left unspent or wasted, no credits left behind, don't forget to check out our DFB guide to maximizing the Disney dining plan over at dfbstore.com. And remember to keep checking back here with us as we continue to learn more about the details of this returning service before and after its return on January 9th. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.